This week in Service Academy football, it was a bountiful harvest of winning games for the service academies. For Air Force, the Falcons end their regular season with an exclamation mark against UNLV as Air Force tops the 500-yard mark in rushing in just one game, closing out the regular season without throwing a single pass.
That's what Air Force football is about.
For the Black Knights, their victory at Liberty was all about getting ahead early and holding on.
I didn't know what to say after that one. Holy moly, it's like two different halves.
And for Navy, the Midshipmen had their most complete game of the season against Temple, and the scoreboard proves it.
It was huge. It was huge to get this win. We'll take a 38-14 victory anytime.
And now it's time to count down to the 122nd matchup between Army and Navy and the final game of the 50th anniversary of the Commander-in-Chief's trophy.
We got 2 weeks to get ready for the biggest game of the year.
We're going to try to do our very best to not let Army beat Army.
We'll have the 4-1-1 on last week's action and the lead up to the Army and Navy matchup as we go behind the lines on this edition of the Academy Football Report.
Welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Graham Knight. Academy football fans, the regular season has now wrapped up for Air Force with a convincing victory over UNLV, and the headline should read, Air Force ends the regular season leading all of FBS in rushing. More about that in a moment. Right behind Air Force is Army, who is second in rushing and who's also coming off a convincing win over Liberty, 31-16. But not too far behind Air Force and Army is Navy, seventh in rushing and also coming off a convincing win over Temple, 38-14. Hopefully you've picked up on the theme of this show. If not, it's convincing. There's a lot to unpack in the next half hour, including 2 previews of the 2022 season. But we start with Air Force. Yes, we know Air Force still has a bowl game to look forward to, and it looks like the Falcons will be playing in the Armed Services Bowl on December 21st. That will be officially announced on December 5th. But prior to the Falcons game this past Saturday, there was still hope that Air Force might make a championship game. But by kickoff, the Falcons knew their slim hopes of making the Mountain West Championships had been snuffed out by virtue of a Utah State win and a Boise State loss. So all that was left was to send the seniors out in style at the final home game of the season at Falcon Stadium. And they did it with a 48-14 thrashing of the Rebels, the likes of which hasn't been seen in a decade.
It was a rather subdued football afternoon with the cadet corps mostly absent because of the Thanksgiving break. This senior day included a group of 6 scheduled to graduate in just 2 weeks, and they decided to go out in dominant fashion.
It was a neat way for those seniors, their last game here at Falcon Stadium. Thought we played pretty solid football across the board. You look at the special teams defensively and being able to move the ball forward with our running game.
The day could not have started any better for the Falcons. On the opening kick, UNLV's return man fumbled the ball and Air Force recovered at the Rebel 14-yard line. Warrant Bryant, making his first start of the season, directed a 3-play drive in just a minute, with Brad Roberts rushing all 3 plays, including a 1-yard TD run to give Air Force a 7-0 lead. And that score would foreshadow what was in store for the rest of the day. On the next drive, UNLV fumbled again, and again it was recovered by the Falcons. This time, a 9-play, 49-yard drive resulted in Roberts' second score of the day to go up 14-zip, and the route was on. The Falcons had 5 possessions in the first half, 4 resulting in points, and a 24-point shutout lead at halftime. They had a 181-86 first-half edge in total yards, all on the ground, but that was just a precursor to what was to come. With first-string quarterback Haaziq Daniels out with a non-COVID illness, Falcons head coach Troy Calhoun decided to rotate 3 quarterbacks, sometimes within the same drive. That included sophomore Zach Larrier, who is also the defending Mountain West 200-meter track champ. He finished off the first possession of the second half with a 12-yard touchdown run to make it 31-zip.
We just kind of felt like there were different things that each guy would be able to do, and we wanted to get them in there just to see. We thought the earlier the better. You know, being able to play and run the floor a little bit, at least get some minutes.
Possession was the watchword of the day. UNLV had the ball for less than 4 minutes in the second half and only 30 seconds in the entire fourth quarter.
Our offense, man, they held the ball forever. Like in the fourth quarter, they held the ball for 14 minutes and 30 seconds. Like that's almost unheard of. So just when your offense is able to hold the ball like that, it makes our job easier.
In fact, the Falcons held onto the ball for nearly 41 minutes, racking up 26 first downs. Air Force's offensive dominance came courtesy of the offensive line, nicknamed the Diesel, anchored by senior guard Hawk Wimmer, the only lineman to start every game this season. The Air Force ground game put up 511 yards rushing, and the front five have been named semifinalists for the Joe Moore Award, honoring the top offensive line in college football.
Big props to the offensive linemen. They created great running lanes, and everybody executed pretty well today.
Not only did Air Force earn all of its yardage on the ground, the Falcons didn't even attempt a single pass. The last time that happened, November 2012. Emmanuel Michel led the Falcons in rushing with 123 yards and a score. But Roberts finished with 98 yards on the afternoon and ended the regular season as the Mountain West rushing champ with 1,279 yards on the year. Defensively, the Falcons held UNLV to just 214 yards of offense on the game and came up with 5 sacks, one from Vince Sanford, who finished the season 4th in the conference with 9.5 sacks. And for the seniors?
I think it's a good way to go out. I can just give all the thanks to the rest of the defense and the coaches, the play calling, the way everybody else played to open up stuff for me. All I can say is thank you, and it's just been a blessing.
Technically, the Falcons and Utah State share the Mountain Division title. The Aggies and San Diego State, the only 2 conference teams to beat the Falcons, will play for that title this weekend. And now to Army. Army was dominant in its road win at Liberty, spoiling the Flames' senior day with a 31-16 Black Knight victory. Here's Erin Summers with a recap.
The Black Knights were first on the scoreboard, scoring not once but twice in the first quarter on an early field goal and a late 34-yard touchdown pass from Christian Anderson to Brahim Murphy.
He kind of made fun of me a little bit before the season about me never throwing him the ball, so I'm glad I'm able to finally get it to him a little bit.
After the Flames failed to convert on their third fourth down play of the opening half, Army needed just 5 more plays to push its lead to 17-0, with 11:23 to go in the second quarter. On their next drive, Anderson went up top again, completing a 51-yard play to Tyrell Robinson, setting up another Buchanan touchdown. Liberty managed a field goal late to bring the score to 24-3 at the break.
We really controlled the ball in the first half and scored every possession. But the guys did a great job getting touchdowns and getting that lead. That was the difference in the game.
Army opened the second half with a 14-play, 75-yard drive that took 8:15 off the clock. The 1-yard rushing touchdown by Buchanan, extending the Black Knight lead 31-3, and set a career high for Buchanan with 3 rushing touchdowns in a single game. His 22 rushing attempts on the day was also a career high.
I think sometimes I get a little bit too much credit. I think on the first touchdown, I wasn't touched till I got in the end zone, and then the other 2, the offensive line, they just have great push. On the third and fourth downs, I just have confidence in them that I can run off their blocks and it's going to be easy first down.
Army held Liberty quarterback Malik Willis in check until midway through the third quarter, when the Flames scored twice to make it the 31-16 final.
We were just able to hold the ball hostage in the second half. We didn't score but the 1 touchdown, but we were just controlling the clock and keeping it away from them, and it was enough to win.
5 total sacks by the Black Knight defense accounted for a season high and matched the most the Black Knights have posted in a single game since Week 3 in 2019. Now, the Black Knights have a week off and their sights set on Navy, December 11th at MetLife Stadium.
We're going to try to do our very best to not let Army beat Army. And that's to play our assignments, play great fundamentally, take care of the ball, do all the things that we can control, and just try to play as well as we're capable of playing. That's how the game is won. It's not won on emotion. There's going to be plenty of that. Both teams will be excited, and I know that it'll be just an all-out bloodbath.
Following the Black Knights' loss to Wake Forest, the players made a promise to each other that they would do whatever it took to win out the rest of the way. Army has gone 4-0 since then. A win over Navy and a second consecutive Commanders-in-Chief trophy would make all the hard work worth it. Graham?
Thank you, Erin. Now the Black Knights turn their attention to the 122nd Army-Navy game, which will be played on December 11th. And Behind the Lines will be there to cover the entire game. Plus, we'll devote our entire show next week to the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. But if you just can't wait to dig into the details, well, more power to you. Because this year, the CIC is also celebrating its 50th anniversary. And we've got an entire special waiting for you right now on our YouTube channel. It's entitled The Quest for the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy, 50 Years of the CIC. Just visit our YouTube channel and search Quest for the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy. And now to Navy. Coach Ken Niumatalolo said he wanted the Midshipmen to start the game against Temple fast and finish strong before the final game of the season against Army. Translated, that meant controlling the clock and a stout defense against a Temple team that was reeling. It didn't quite play out the way Coach Niumat had planned, but the Mids were up to the challenge and came away with a 38-14 win to notch their third victory of the season. Here's Diane Roberts with more on the Midshipmen's convincing win.
Our big goal today was to get off to a fast start, and we got to a super sluggish start, and that wasn't the plan.
But the Navy found its groove. Thanks to a Chance Warren 36-yard punt return, the Mids started their third possession of the game at the Temple 27. 5 plays later, Carlinos AC went in from 11 yards out to put Navy up 7-0 in the first. After another 3-and-out by the Owls, Navy went on one of its patented scoring drives. 13 plays, 71 yards, capped off by a Xavier R. Line 15-yard touchdown pass to Chance Warren to make it 14-0 Mids. It would be the first of 2 TD receptions by the senior co-captain and the first career TD pass for Xavier R. Line, who entered the game just 2 plays earlier for starter Ty Lavatai. Meanwhile, the Navy defense clamped down, forcing Temple to punt 5 times in the first half, with Temple's only score coming off a Navy fumble at its own 1-yard line. In fact, the Mids gave up only 49 total yards in the first half and led 17-7 at halftime. And that ground control pattern continued into the second half. Navy's first 3 drives of 5:22, 6:43, and 5:53 all resulted in touchdowns, 2 from senior fullback Isaac Ruas and Warren's second TD reception, and the route was on.
To the credit of our players and the coaches that got them going to halftime, we came out with a little bit more resolve, but it was great for the way we bounced back.
Entering the game, the Midshipmen were ranked 5th in the nation in time of possession and controlled the ball for 37 minutes of the game. In fact, Temple had just 4 second-half drives and fumbled twice. AC led the Mids in rushing with 88 yards on just 10 carries, and he continues to impress his teammates.
It's phenomenal. Every time he gets the ball, I'm looking up at the big board and see if he's going to break one. You just can't tackle that guy with one defender. It's not going to work. He's running and carrying it at a phenomenal level.
One of the star standouts on defense for the Mids was freshman linebacker Tyler Fletcher, who led the team in tackles with 7 and also recorded his first quarterback sack.
Having those young guys make those plays bodes well for our future, but obviously we're in the here and now. But having to play guys that are forced into action, sometimes it's not always the greatest because you have your growing pains, but they've been doing a lot of good things.
The bottom line, the win was just what the doctor ordered.
It was huge. It was huge to get this win. We got 2 weeks again for the biggest game of the year.
Just the confidence boost we need headed into Army-Navy.
So to get some momentum, to get that victory is definitely great, and we're going to be looking forward to that game obviously in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Diane. Colin Ramos got his first career start in the contest against Temple. This was the 9th game out of 11 in which a Mid earned his first collegiate start. As Behind the Lines closes out the 2021 season, we'll take a close look at some of the standout freshmen from this year who are sure to be players to watch in 2022. We'll have that feature next when Behind the Lines returns.
For a freshman to get playing time in major college football, the player usually has to be really exceptional. To play as a freshman at a service academy, well, it's rare. However, each season, there are a few exceptional freshmen who step up to the challenge, whether it's been out of necessity, injuries, or because they've proven themselves in practice. Here are some service academy freshmen who have shown their coaches that there's a lot to look forward to in the years to come. For the Navy Midshipmen, one such player is slotback Mikkel Haywood. The freshman from Wake Forest, North Carolina, first caught his coach's eye in practice.
We kind of knew that I think he jumped close to 40 inches on his vertical. And so when he did that, like, whoa, this kid's special.
It wasn't just a touchdown. It was a 98-yard return against East Carolina, tied for the longest kick return in Navy history. The freshman's 9 kick returns leads the Midshipmen this season. He's humble about his success, owing much of it to the leadership of his senior teammates and their support.
We come in after a game, and coach, we go to the meetings, and coach is like, all right, we're going to start Haywood, a freshman, back deep. For that time, still had, Chance in particular, Chance Warren, coming up to me just saying, just play ball. It's nothing but football. Do your thing.
But doing your thing 1 year removed from high school is not always easy.
Playing football at this level is a lot different than playing in high school. Even the very best high schools in the country, playing FBS football is a lot different. And so it makes it a lot more difficult to break the lineup as a freshman unless you're just way more talented than the other guys and physically developed enough.
Max DiDomenico was a quarterback in high school, but switched to defensive back this season.
Coming here was definitely a weird transition. The first few weeks, got to get my feet different. The summer was all about DB and breaks, and wasn't a 3-step drop anymore. So the transition was weird, but it's been fun.
He's played in 6 games so far this season and had a key pass breakup on a fake field goal by Bucknell.
Field goal try.
At the Air Force Academy, it's tough to crack the lineup as a freshman there too. Just ask graduating senior DeMonte Meeks about his experience.
You come in, and a lot of freshmen don't play. Freshman year, I was there getting beat on every practice, so I knew what it felt like.
But 2 of his teammates have bucked the trend and are making significant contributions for the Falcons this season. Freshman kicker Matthew DePore was a 2-sport star in high school in Ohio, football and baseball. He's hit 7 field goals, including a key 49-yarder against Nevada, and is 27 of 28 on extra points. Freshman punter Carson Bay was all-state in Florida and has a 41-yard average in his dozen kicks so far this season.
What's neat, both those guys were guys that we wanted, and they had some other opportunities. And I'll tell you what really, really makes you proud is when you look at the halfway point of the semester, these are both guys that are really, really up there academically, which just credit to their diligence, their discipline, and their focus.
Another freshman standout is Joe Armentrout from the Coast Guard, who late in the season stepped in as starting quarterback for the Bears.
He'll be the starter moving forward. I think he showed us enough in that game to let us know that. Did he make a couple mistakes? Yeah, but you know what? The kid threw for almost 300 yards in a driving rainstorm with wet balls and the whole 9 yards. So he'll be the starter moving forward.
As you look ahead to 2022 Academy football fans, remember the names of Mikel Haywood, Max DiDomenico, Matthew DePore, Carson Bay, and Joe Armentrout. They are sure to be names you'll hear called out often in the 2022 season. We'll be right back with more Behind the Lines right after this.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines. I'm Graham Knight. You just had a chance to see some of the players you're sure to see shine in 2022. So as we look forward to next year, all of us at Behind the Lines are pleased to announce that early next year, Behind the Lines will debut a 1-hour special on the Academy football greats. Here's just a small sample of the players we'll be profiling in this upcoming special. Take a look.
On the list of standout players are 5 names that are likely never to be forgotten. Army's famed running back tandem of Doc Blanchard and Glenn Davis each took home the Heisman in 1945 and 46. The Cadets' Pete Dawkins won it in 1958, with Navy's Joe Bellino winning it in 1960. Quarterback Roger Staubach took home the Distinguished Honor in 1963. After serving a tour of duty in Vietnam, Staubach went on to have the most decorated professional career of any of the Heisman winners, leading the Cowboys to a record of 85-29 as a starter and winning 2 Super Bowl titles. The former Navy QB was a Super Bowl MVP, went to 6 Pro Bowls, and was enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. West Point's legendary Earl Red Blake is one of the coaching greats born from the service academies, a former Army player turned coach. In 18 seasons, Blake won 121 games, lost only 33 with 10 ties. Blake's Army teams won national titles in 1944, 1945, and 1946. Blake earned AFCA Coach of the Year honors in 46. Blake coached 3 Heisman Trophy winners, Blanchard, Davis, and Dawkins, as well as a total of 11 college football Hall of Famers. 20 of his former assistants became future coaches. Sid Gilman won an AFL title with the San Diego Chargers in 1963, and Vince Lombardi, an Army assistant from 1948 to 53, became arguably one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. In 1948, Blake became one of the first college coaches to use players strictly for offense or defense. It was also during Blake's time that the nickname Black Knights came to life. Under Blake, college football saw one of the best teams to ever play, the 1945 National Championship team, led by 2 all-time greats, Blanchard and Davis, Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside. In 9 games that season, Army took on 6 of the best teams in the country and beat them by an average of 45-6.
In Army touchdown parade, final score, Army 54, Wake Forest nothing.
So look for our upcoming special in early 2022. When Behind the Lines returns, we'll close out the show with a few final thoughts and a shout out. Don't leave the huddle. Behind the Lines will be right back after this. As we close out this edition of Behind the Lines, we want to call your attention to our webpage and a couple of special features you're going to find hiding in the lower right-hand corner on our webpage. First, take a look at an unforgettable moment we have posted there. It's the story of Killer Gregory, a Black Knight who later in life got the opportunity to speak at a Navy rally prior to the Army-Navy game. Needless to say, he almost ended up in the fountain. And we're also in search of the best spirit tape of 2021. So if you've got an unforgettable moment to share or a spirit tape to nominate, please email us at btlreports@isomermedia.com. That's btlreports@isomermedia.com. All right, that's all the time we have left for this week's show. Please join us next week as we start our countdown to America's game. We look forward to seeing you then, right here on Behind the Lines.